Anyone who's passed on knows this. After you die, you become a ghost. And once you're a ghost, you can get a job in the underworld. This year marks a decade since I died, and a decade since I started my job as a spirit guide. My coworkers often ribbed me because no one in my family ever sent offerings. So, I decided it was time to go back. I needed to know why they'd stopped sending them. Had they truly forgotten me? When I told Hades I wanted to take some time off, he paused, mid-task. He looked up, confusion clouding his eyes. Time off? He asked. I nodded. Yep, time off. He took a long moment before asking why. A pang of sorrow hit me, but I managed a shaky smile. Just, feeling a little homesick. I said, thought I'd go check in on them. The truth was, the day before, I'd overheard some coworkers. You think Lily Evans did a lot of bad stuff when she was alive? One of them whispered. I mean, I've been a spirit guide for about 7 years, and I've never seen anyone send her offerings. Doesn't seem right. Another chimed in. I always thought she seemed like a good person. That's just an act. The first retorted. If she was really good, why wouldn't her family send her offerings? My parents send me offerings every single year since I died. So what if her performance is top-notch? She's still just a poor soul no one cares about. Ha ha ha. I didn't confront them, because they weren't wrong. In my 10 years in the underworld, I'd only received offerings during the first 3. For the past 7, nothing. That very afternoon, a colleague and I were on assignment in the mortal realm, investigating a cause of death, and I made a quick detour to see them. Mom was at the town square, wearing the expensive dress I'd bought her, her makeup flawless, dancing with joyful abandon. Dad was nearby, playing chess with some old guys, laughing heartily, his voice strong and clear. He looked well. A short while later, my younger brother, Jack, dressed in a sharp black suit, came to call them home for dinner. He said his wife, Chloe, had made braised ribs. I floated around Jack a few times. He was 27 now, not the little brat who used to beg for a good smack. He'd grown taller, more handsome, and much more considerate. When Mom and Dad hesitated, he coaxed them gently, unlike the old days when he'd just snap, eat it or don't, I don't care, and walk away. I gently brushed my hand through his hair, a fond smile on my face. Good job, kid, you've grown up. Then I went to see my older sister, Sarah. Her oldest daughter had gotten into a top middle school and was starting in a few days. Sarah was happily packing her daughter's school supplies when she suddenly froze. I floated closer to see what it was. It was a beautiful pink jacket and a pink wig. My sister had bought them for me. When I was 18, I was diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer. The doctors said I wouldn't live more than 5 months, but Mom and Dad refused to give up. They took me to hospital after hospital, but the results were always the same. The cancer had spread too much. It was uncontrollable. I was truly grateful to them, because their refusal to give up gave me 2 more years. When I turned 20, my condition worsened significantly. The hospital sent me home. My sister was there. Seeing my pale face and bald head, her eyes welled up. To cheer her up, I touched my bald head and joked, when I get better, I'm going to dye this thing pink, buy a pink jacket, and strut down Main Street. The truth was, I only had a few days left. Even though they didn't say it, I knew. My sister bought those things to fulfill my wish, but I never got the chance to wear them. A few days after coming home, I couldn't go on. I was in too much pain to eat or get up, completely unconscious. My dad, unable to bear my suffering any longer, painfully removed my oxygen tube. After I died, my soul floated above. I saw my dad, usually so strong, crying uncontrollably, tears streaming down his face. My mom held my body, sobbing, my sweet girl, my child, oh Lord, my life. Overcome with grief, Mom fainted several times. My sister clutched the pink jacket and pink wig she'd bought me, her mouth open as if to speak, but no sound came out. Only my brother wasn't crying, but his ashen face and incredulous eyes showed how devastated he was. Jack and I were 3 years apart, always bickering. I remember when I first got sick, he even said I was faking it to skip school. He teased, who knew the good girl could be naughty too? But when he saw my medical report, he didn't speak for days. That afternoon, I was sleeping, and vaguely heard crying. I opened my eyes to see my brother, head bowed, sobbing quietly by my bed, muttering, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to comfort him, so I pretended to be asleep. When he finally stopped crying and left, I opened my eyes again, tears streaming down my face. Sometimes I cursed fate, asking why me? Why did I have to die? I was only 18. I hadn't had the chance to honor my parents, to see the world. Perhaps I'd done something terrible in a past life, and this was my punishment. I glanced at my sister. Her expression was normal now, unlike when I first died, and she couldn't even look at that jacket without crying. It seemed like she was doing okay. Back in the underworld, I felt an indescribable melancholy. Seeing them like that, I was happy, yet also sad. I didn't want them to grieve my death forever, but I also didn't want to be forgotten so quickly. Just then, my best friend in the underworld, Sarah Green, came to find me. I quickly tilted my head back, forcing the tears back. She didn't notice anything was wrong, excitedly saying, "Lily, guess how much money my parents sent me today?" I shook my head. No idea, but it's probably a lot. She was a rich kid when she was alive. Her allowance was hundreds of thousands. After she died, it was even more. Her family sent her hundreds of millions. I was so envious. She heard the catch in my voice and looked worried. "Lily, what's wrong?" I forced a smile. "Nothing." She pinched my cheek. "Your face is practically a prune. And you say nothing's wrong?" But I wouldn't tell her, so she didn't press. She just pulled me along. Come on. I'm treating you to a big meal today. How about your favorite barbecue? Or hot pot? Anything else you want, I'll get it." Normally, I'd be thrilled for a free meal, but on the way, we ran into those coworkers who'd been badmouthing me. They said, with a snide tone, that no one loved me, no one cared about me. Sarah, who has a short fuse, immediately charged forward to argue. Fighting in the underworld gets you sent to the 18th layer of hell. I grabbed her. "Sarah, forget it. Let's go." She was furious. "Don't hold me back. If I don't beat those backstabbing snakes today, I'm not a green." I held her tightly, my voice full of sadness. "They're not wrong. I haven't received any offerings from my family in 7 years. She froze, then sighed, patting my head. Maybe they have a reason they can't. Maybe," I whispered. I thought about it all night. I still decided to go back. I wanted to know why they weren't sending me offerings. Had they truly forgotten me? Hades saw my determined expression and sighed. "So, you're giving up your perfect attendance bonus?" he asked. I gave a wry smile. "Yep, giving it up." "And your year-end bonus?" "Giving it up." He frowned. "How will you live then? Things are expensive in the underworld. A single white bun costs 10 silver coins, and the pay is terrible. Even with my top performance, I only make 3,000 a month. Without offerings from family, it's hard to survive on a 9-to-5 salary here. That's why, when my family stopped sending offerings, I worked myself to the bone, day and night, all year round, all for that perfect attendance and year-end bonus. With those, I could keep living in the underworld, not rich, not feasting on delicacies, but I wouldn't have to tighten my belt. Now, I was willing to give all that up. Hades truly couldn't understand. I remembered when I first arrived in the underworld, I could have chosen to be reborn, but I didn't. Hades asked me why. I smiled and said I wanted to try experiencing life's hardships in a different way. In reality, I just couldn't let go of them in the mortal realm. I was afraid if I reincarnated, I'd never see them again. I couldn't bear it, didn't want it. Even with the separation of life and death, at least I could still visit them occasionally. What did it matter if life was hard? As long as they were doing well, I was content. But back then, I hadn't considered that the dead are slowly forgotten. So now, it was possible they had forgotten me. I couldn't stand the thought. I desperately needed to know if they had truly forgotten me. Finally, Hades, unable to resist my persistent pleading, agreed to give me a month's leave. However, a spirit guide's identity cannot interact with mortals, so I spent money to buy a temporary mortal identity. Looking at my empty wallet, my heart sank. I hadn't made much money when I was alive, and I was still broke after death. How was I going to live in the underworld after this? My mortal identity was a young woman in her early 20s named Lily Een, with no living relatives. She even had a similar name to mine, and was the same age I was when I died. The first thing I did after returning was to go to the town square to find my mom. Using the excuse that I wanted to learn square dancing, I struck up a conversation. "Ma'am, you dance so beautifully, could you teach me?" My mom, who had been laughing and chatting with others a second ago, stopped smiling when she saw me. She glanced at me and said, "Find someone else, I'm busy," then walked away without looking back. I wondered if it was my imagination, but her back looked like she was running away. I smiled. shaking my head. Must be my imagination. I followed close behind her. Ma'am, please, won't you teach me square dancing? I really want to learn. My mom, being cautious of scams, wouldn't engage, but luckily, I knew what she liked, and was able to play to her interests. After several days of persistent effort, Mom finally let her guard down. That same day, I found every possible way to get her to invite me home for dinner. Mom paused. You want to come to my house for dinner? I nodded vigorously. Yes, I really do. Mom frowned, studying me. After a long moment, she asked me why. I wanted to see how many traces of my existence were left in their home. I lowered my voice. My parents died early, so I don't remember what it feels like to eat a meal with them anymore. The moment I saw you, ma'am, I felt a strong connection, like you were my mom, so I want to try it again. Can I, ma'am? 10 whole years had passed. I truly had almost forgotten what it felt like to eat with my parents. I was so afraid my mom would say no, but when I looked up, I saw tears streaming down her face. I panicked, quickly wiping her tears. Ma'am, why are you crying? She suddenly pulled me into a tight hug, sobbing. Seeing my mom cry so heartbrokenly, my breath caught. A tight ache spread through my chest. I wondered if she was remembering me, the me who had died. So, she hasn't forgotten me after all, has she? Once she calmed down, Mom wiped her tears, apologizing somewhat embarrassed. I'm so sorry, Lily, I felt so bad for you. I couldn't help but cry. I'm so sorry. So, it wasn't because she remembered me. Even though I had prepared myself for them to have forgotten me, I was still so disappointed. I waved my hand, feigning indifference. It's okay, ma'am, I'm used to it. Because of my misfortune, Mom agreed to take me home for dinner, and even offered to buy me boba tea. I was both surprised and delighted. Back when I was alive, Mom would always scold me for drinking boba. I wanted her to experience my joy, but she never would. Now she was willing to try. Any sadness I'd felt instantly vanished. At the boba shop, I ordered 2 of the drinks I loved most when I was alive, the ones I always wanted Mom to try. I put the straw in for her, full of anticipation. She took a sip. How is it, ma'am? Is it good? I asked eagerly. She smiled and nodded. It's delicious. I felt a surge of pride. Right? I told you it was good. I haven't had this in 10 years. I missed it so much. I finished the whole cup in one go, patting my satisfied stomach. I turned to look at Mom and saw her looking at me. I smiled. What is it, ma'am? Is there something on my face? She shook her head. No, you seem so familiar. Like I've seen you somewhere before. Could Mom have recognized me? A mix of nervousness and anticipation filled me. I was nervous because before I came to the mortal realm, Hades had learned my purpose and warned me not to let anyone know my true identity. Otherwise, I'd lose my job as a spirit guide. And losing that job had 2 outcomes. Either I'd be reborn after drinking the river of forgetfulness, forgetting all my past memories, or I'd become a lonely ghost, slowly losing my memory over time. Neither outcome was what I wanted, as both meant I would no longer remember them. But I was also excited. Did Mom still remember me? Did she still care? Did she still think of me? I tentatively asked. Really? Where do you think you've seen me? Mom thought hard but couldn't recall. I just can't place it. But you feel very familiar. I remembered my 15th birthday. In winter, I dressed up in a mascot costume to surprise Mom, but she recognized me instantly. She said, "You're my daughter. No matter what you look like, I'll always know you." Yet here I was, right in front of her, and she didn't recognize me. Mom suddenly chuckled. I know who you remind me of. Her gentle voice and loving eyes made my breath catch, my heart pounding. Did Mom recognize me? But her next words were like a punch to the gut, freezing me in place. You remind me of my daughter-in-law, Chloe. Every time she drinks boba, she gets it all over her face like a little kitten. She then wiped the corner of my mouth. So the boba wasn't even because of me. It was because my brother's wife liked it. Mom took another sip of boba, a look of distaste on her face. I have no idea what's so great about this overly sweet stuff, for you girls to like it so much. Then she added, well, if you like it, drink it. I'll bring one home for Chloe later. My heart ached. I quickly stood up. Ma'am, I'm going home now. I'll come find you for dinner tonight. Mom didn't notice my distress. She nodded. Okay. Do you remember my address? Do you need me to repeat it? I shook my head. No, ma'am, I remember it. I'll be going now. I bolted out of the boba shop, running until I had no strength left, then collapsed on the roadside, sobbing uncontrollably. But as I cried, I started to laugh. I should be happy. This meant they were no longer suffering because of my absence. Passers-by looked at me, crying and laughing, with strange expressions, as if I were insane. Suddenly, a pair of black leather shoes entered my vision. I slowly looked up to see my brother, Jack, looking at me with concern. "Little sister, are you okay?" That phrase, "little sister," made me lose it again. "I'm your big sister." I pinched my thigh. I'm fine. Really, I'm fine." Jack crouched down to my level, meeting my gaze. "I don't know why you're crying, but all hardships eventually pass." With Jack setting the example, other passers-by came forward. "That's right, miss. There's no hurdle you can't overcome," they said. "Don't cry." They offered words of comfort, but my heart felt even colder. For my family, my death was a hardship, wasn't it? And since their hardship had passed, they had completely forgotten me. The crowd dispersed, and my brother left too. Before he walked away, he said, "Keep fighting, little sister." I wandered aimlessly down the street, wondering if I truly should be reborn. At 7 that evening, I arrived promptly. My mom opened the door. "Lily, you're here." She led me inside. I smiled and greeted my dad, who was sitting on the couch. "Hello, sir." My dad nodded. "Hello, my brother," coming out of the kitchen, froze when he saw me. "It's you?" Mom looked puzzled. "You two know each other?" My brother chuckled. "She's the poor young lady I told you about." Mom led me to the couch, looking concerned. "Lily, what happened?" "Jack said you were crying so hard. If anything's wrong, please don't keep it to yourself. You must tell me. If I can help, I will." I shook my head. "I'm okay, ma'am. I've just been a little tired lately, and I miss my parents." Mom and Chloe were in the kitchen cooking. My brother was in his study, working late. I looked around. There was nothing of mine anywhere. Even the long dog plushie I used to keep on the living room sofa was gone. Just then, my dad brought me some fruit. "Lily, have some fruit." There were no cherry tomatoes, no pomegranates, all my favorites were gone. It was all fruit I used to hate. I picked up a slice of apple, tasting nothing. When the food was finally served, I was trembling with excitement. Sweet and sour pork, braised pork, hot and sour soup with fatty beef, all my favorites. I looked up at my dad, who was carrying the corn and pork rib soup, my absolute favorite dish. It was the only dish my dad knew how to make, and he'd only learned it because I said I liked it. But my dad's next words chilled me to the bone. He smiled and called out to my sister-in-law, Chloe, look, your mom made all your favorite dishes, and I made your favorite corn and pork rib soup. You have to have a few bowls today." Then he turned to me. "Lily, you try some too. This is Uncle's specialty." Chloe tried it once and never forgot it. I swallowed the bitterness and nodded. "Okay, Uncle." The food tasted as delicious as ever, but I couldn't feel happy. I glanced at Chloe. Was it my imagination? Or was her gaze unusually strange? Everyone chatted a lot, and it was a very cheerful dinner, but they didn't mention me once. I couldn't let it go. I pretended to ask casually, "Ma'am, do you and Uncle only have one son?" Mom smiled. "I also have an older daughter." I feigned surprise. "Really? So you have a daughter too?" But the conversation after that still didn't include me. Mom, happy with the conversation, held my hand and talked a lot. Everything she said was about how well she was doing, eating well, dressing warmly, happy every day, no worries at all. I didn't feel like she was trying to boast, but it almost seemed like she was deliberately saying it for my benefit. Because it was getting late, Mom offered for me to stay the night. I agreed. My dad was sent to sleep on the living room couch by Mom. I probed, "Ma'am, I saw you have 3 bedrooms. Couldn't Uncle sleep in that one?" Mom chuckled. "That room is a storage room. It's full of junk. No one can live in there. No wonder it was locked. So it's a storage room." There were no fruits I liked. My favorite dishes weren't exclusively mine anymore, and even my room was gone. So they truly had forgotten me. But that was good, too. No more pain. On my 17th day in the mortal realm, I decided to return to the underworld. When I told my parents I was leaving, they were shocked. "Leaving? Going where?" I smiled. "Somewhere very, very far away." Mom paused. "Not coming back?" I shook my head. "No, not coming back. There's no point in coming back." Mom opened her mouth as if to say something, but finally only said, "Then I wish you a safe journey." "Thank you, Uncle and Auntie, I've been really happy these past few weeks, I said, trying to sound carefree. Uncle and Auntie, I'm going now. I hope your family will be happy. With that, I couldn't bear to stay another second and turned to leave. The moment I turned, tears streamed down my face. I remembered that day. I was actually looking forward to it. I'd gone to my grave early, waiting and waiting and waiting until the sun set. But they never came. I floated to my house again. That's when I realized they were all busy with their own lives. Mom was busy shopping with her new friends. Dad was watching International Master Chess on TV with his chess buddies. Today was my brother and Chloe's wedding anniversary, and Jack had taken her out for a candlelit dinner. My sister and brother-in-law had gone on a trip with their kids the day before I came to the mortal realm and hadn't returned yet. I walked aimlessly through the streets. Not a single light in the multitude of homes was lit for me. Everyone says time heals all wounds. I used to not believe it, because my family was harmonious. My mom, dad, sister, and brother all loved me dearly. I never imagined they would completely forget me, but now I believe it. 10 years is enough, perhaps even earlier. They might have forgotten me as early as 3 years after I died, but this was truly a good thing. They wouldn't continue to mourn my death. After crying, I understood. I really should go be reborn. I told Hades I wanted to be reborn. He smiled. Good that you've come to terms with it. Back in the underworld, I was still depressed. Sarah Green asked me what was wrong, but I wouldn't tell her. The truth was, I couldn't bear to leave, but staying was too painful. That night, Sarah and I drank a lot. I told her I was going to be reborn. She smiled. Really? I nodded. Yes, really. But before, when I tried to convince you, you wouldn't agree. What made you change your mind now? She asked. They really don't remember me anymore, I said, unable to hold back, hugging Sarah and bursting into tears. The next morning, I went to the river of forgetfulness first thing, but just as I was about to drink the amnesia potion, Sarah Green suddenly appeared. She said, you should see this first, then decide whether you want to drink it. A scene appeared in the river of forgetfulness. My mom was kneeling at my grave, sobbing heartbrokenly. My dad held my almost collapsed mom, silently weeping. Behind them were my brother, Jack, and my sister-in-law, Chloe, both crying with bowed heads, and my sister, Sarah, her face ashen. Mom choked out, Lily, you're gone, aren't you? But if you're gone, how am I supposed to live? My Lily, my baby, my life. I was confused by my mom's words. I turned to Sarah, who handed me a letter. I opened it. It was from my sister-in-law, Chloe. My name is Chloe Liu. I don't know if this letter will ever reach you, but I feel like I have to tell you these things. Our parents never forgot you. They're still living with the pain of losing you. As for why they acted so carefree, as if they didn't care about you at all. I heard Jack say that Mom got seriously ill the first month after you left. When she woke up, she kept saying she saw you. Dad thought Mom was just overthinking and hallucinating, but it was like that the first year, and the second, and the third. Dad got worried and took Mom to a psychiatrist. The doctor said Mom's mental health was fine. That's when they realized Mom might actually be seeing you. Mom was actually happy that she could see you. But then one day, Mom overheard your conversation with someone else. You complained that life in the underworld was hard, that you couldn't sleep or eat well. The other person asked why you didn't reincarnate if it was so hard. You pointed at Mom and said you couldn't let go. Mom knew you were suffering in the underworld and couldn't bear it. So she told the family. We all discussed making you want to be reborn. So, from then on, they pretended to have moved on from your death. This kind of life seemed normal, but it was actually stifling and heartbreaking. Later, Lily appeared. The time she was with us was the happiest our parents had been in a long time. But sister, do you know? Mom could see your soul, so we all knew that Lily was actually you, our sister. We just couldn't acknowledge it because we were afraid you wouldn't want to leave. And then all our efforts would be in vain. But then you really left. Mom seemed more energetic than before, making new friends, shopping and eating with them. She looked happy, but I know Mom was on the verge of collapse. Death itself isn't scary. What's scary is leaving regrets. If you have the chance, then say a proper goodbye, so Mom could always see me. No wonder she reacted that way when she first saw me, an instinctive flight reaction. She didn't not care about me, she was just afraid of giving it away. And that time she was sick, I really was there, standing by her bed, watching her. The moment she opened her eyes, I thought I saw excitement in them. I thought I was mistaken, But it turns out she really did see me that time. Hades saw my stunned expression. Weren't you going to be reborn? I want to go back to the mortal realm, I said. Why do you want to go back again? He asked. After much pleading, Hades agreed to let me go back again, but he said after I came back, I had to be reborn. I agreed. I returned to the mortal realm. I knocked on my family's door, pretending to be from property management. My dad opened the door. Who are you looking for? I'm from property management. Your kitchen water pipe is broken, isn't it? I asked. No, it's not. It was fine when I used it this morning, my dad said. He started to close the door. I ducked under his arm and slipped inside. My dad got angry. What are you doing? If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. I pretended to be angry too. Then call them. I dare you to call the police. Who'll be your daughter then? I took off my mask. My dad froze. Lily, Dad, it's me. My dad cried and hugged me. My sweet girl, how did you come back? Mom heard the commotion and came out of the bedroom. Mom, I choked out. Mom's eyes instantly filled with tears. She trembled as she walked over and hugged me tightly. My precious baby, how did you come back? I glanced at Chloe, who was tightly hugging my brother, both of them in tears, because Chloe told me I should say a proper goodbye to you all. I explained. My brother looked surprised. How did you know Lily was our sister? Chloe smiled. Because of her eyes. Their eyes were filled with love for me. I still had some time left with my mortal identity, so I suggested we all go on a trip. I found an opportunity to thank Chloe. She smiled and said, You're Jack's sister, so you're my sister too. We're family. This is what I should do. My sister, Sarah, heard I was back and rushed home too, hugging me and sobbing. Our family went to many places. We visited the museum Dad most wanted to see. We ate the stuffed brain dish Mom always wanted to try. We saw the underwater world my sister dreamed of. And my brother and Chloe finally got to try skiing. They asked me what wish I wanted to fulfill. I smiled. It's already fulfilled. The day I died, I wished that if I could live again, I'd travel the world with them. Even though we didn't travel the entire world, my wish had been fulfilled. I was content. The joy of that time was matched only by the pain of parting. I was afraid I would break down, so I bit my teeth. I hugged them goodbye. Mom held me tightly, sobbing into my ear. Lily, my good daughter, go and be reborn. Mom knows you're a good child. Your leaving was a huge blow to us, but everyone dies eventually. It's just a matter of when, so go without worry. Dad and I are doing well. Your sister and brother have their own families. Go without worry, okay? Don't hold back. If possible, let our family reunite in the next life. No matter how much I didn't want to leave, I had to go. I waved goodbye and stepped into the beam of light, my form dissolving. I whispered, forget me. Epilogue. Perhaps the amnesia potion this year was watered down too much. I didn't lose all my memories after I was reborn. However, my luck wasn't great. I was born into a family that heavily favored sons. Because the couple wanted a boy, they didn't want me. They abandoned me in the mountains to die. I was terrified. I wanted to scream for help, but all that came out were baby gurgles. Just then, I heard familiar voices. Honey, come here. There's a baby. Which heartless person left a child here? Let's see if there's anything on them so we can send them home. Someone picked me up off the ground. I looked up into the most familiar faces, my mom and dad. Mom opened the blanket I was wrapped in and gasped. Honey, look. My dad laughed and cried. Heaven has eyes. Our Lily is back. I wondered how my parents knew it was me. It wasn't until I was older that I learned. I had a pig-shaped birthmark on my shoulder. I got it when I was little, trying to save a child from falling into the water. I fell, and my shoulder hit a rock. After the wound healed, it left that pig-shaped blue mark. Because of that birthmark, I never dared to wear short sleeves. Everyone used to tease me. As much as I hated that pig birthmark before, I loved it now. Because of it, my parents were able to recognize me again. Later, I found out Hades was that child. No wonder he was so good to me. He was repaying a debt. I almost thought he had a crush on me. Haha, that's the whole story, everyone. Thanks for your support.